Hello and welcome to Rand class. Today I'm gonna talk about the social security net um, and why it is important to have, what it does, and what other things from the government and the social part that actually is needed for it to work properly. So the social security net is something almost every country have in some sort of way. Some have a big net, some have a small net. Most countries do have a net that helps you if you get unemployed, for example. And that is what it is supposed to do. It is to help you if you get fired or you get sick or something like that and you need help. And then the government help you because they are the one who can do it the best and because they have the means and the money to it. So some countries have a massive net, and those countries are the Scandinavian countries. And I believe that is one of the reasons, because the report says so, that Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland is some of the most happiest places on earth because they actually have a massive security net under everyone. So this means that you don't have the fear of having to become homeless or having to go in bed hungry and stuff like that because the government will help you as well as they can. A social security net does cost a lot of money, so I understand why some countries don't want to have a massive net or they don't want to have it all free. But it's not free per se because we actually pay for the nets via our taxes. So it's more up to if the country of the people want to pay more in tax to get a better security net. And I have used the security net, and I know a lot of people who've used it. And I would no sweat at all pay more tax if it meant that our security net in the country I live in will become better, because it can always become a bit better. So what is the security net? Well, the security net is basically um, when you hit rock bottom, it's what stops you from hitting the bottom, and it is the net you land on, and it's social workers, nurses, unemployment money if you're not in a union or you don't have anything else to help you. Um, and that is like they grab you and then they point you towards another place where you can go and become built up again so you can become self-sustainable again and get a job and so forth. And there's a lot of people in that net who are heroes every day because they help people every day. And a lot of them is doing a hard job because a lot of governments don't have that much money to use on it. So they have to filter through the people who can get this and who can't. And it must be so hard to sit and have to pick a life to save and a life not to save. So it must be a hard job to have because you really have to be able to put aside that feeling. But one of the things in the net is, as I said, nurses and hospitals. And I believe that universal healthcare should be almost free. Some places have single payment and then the government covers the rest uh, by taxing. But it is something that is important for people to live a good life. I don't know what I would do if I had to go to the hospital with a broken arm and they said, well, we can fix that, but it will cost you 5,000 US dollars to do that. I wouldn't be able to pay that. And then they will be like, well, then we can't help you. And that would be terrifying because there's actually been documentaries, there's been reports about people who didn't go to doctors, who didn't get treated, who had fingers amputated because they got a work accident and they didn't have the money to get them put back on, even though it was durable. So they now have a hand without fingers. And it's such an insane thing for me to think about that people can live in a world or in a country where that is a choice they have to make. Like um, during the pandemic, a report came out about people in the US where a lot of people who were taking medicine had to pick between what medicine to use because if they had more diseases that needed daily medicine, they only took the one medicine for the one that was the most deadly. And that is insane for me to think about. So I will say that universal healthcare or some sort of healthcare where you only have to pay maybe 10% of the cost and then the government will pay the rest. That is something that is really a big part of the social security net because everyone will eventually need help from a doctor or nurse or something like that. So, yeah, that's a big part. Also, since hospitals have psychiatrists, and so they also handle the people who need the security net because they get a mental illness, they go down with stress, they get depressed, something like that. So it is one of the key parts of a social security net. Then we have all the social workers. They are also a big part of the net because they're the people that you interact with. They're the people that help you get through the system. They're the people that will be there with you when you go to uh, therapy or meetings or stuff like that and help you get along, help you become better, help you achieve your goal of becoming self-sustained again. So social workers are also very important. Then there are some things that needs to run fairly well in a country to actually have a good security net, and that being schools, both for kids and adults. And the reason that is a big part of a social security net is we have to train our coming generations so they are taught how to interact in the professions that are needed in the net. And if the school system is not working and is underfunded, then the care these people will give can become less and less because we have to lower the standard all the time because we don't have people who are educated enough to actually maintain the net. So using money in education is very good. It's also one of the key factors in actually breaking bad patterns. Like if you have a family where for years they have been dealing with alcohol. Well, one of the ways for the kids to actually learn about that, learn how to not do that, is by going to class, by going to school. Then they will know there's another world out there, that the world at home and the real life is not the same, and they will make better judgments about themselves and maybe not drink alcohol. And it is something that is very important. So I always and will always say that schools are something that should never be underfunded. It is one of the most important things in the foundation of a country because the coming generations that come out of the school will be the ones who run the country when you get older. So you have to make sure a good education is something everyone can get, no matter if they're rich or poor. That is why I also say that schools should be free because it should not be an economic burden for a poor family to have to ship their kid to school. And one of the ways you actually help improve a country is by educating the people. So I will say schools, top priority. Then another thing that is needed to maintain the social security net is actually a police force. And it's because they go out and control that people are not taking advantage of the security net and then maintain control in the country. So I would say a police force is actually needed for a good security net because often some people will do some crime, and if they get caught in that crime, they have to maybe go to jail. Then it's up to the police force and the social workers in that jail to educate and reform the prisoners. So when they come out on the other side of prison, when they're done with their sentence, they have learned how to adapt to life. They have learned how to avoid going back to crime, so they don't reoffend and go to prison again. So that's why it's police and social workers are also part of a social security net. But a social security net can make people more happy because, as the report states, it says um, that the fear of not having to go homeless and that you can go to a hospital, that you can get a help getting your medicine, and you can get free education, help with education, and stuff like that. It removes a lot of the burdens and worries a lot of people actually have in their life. So I will say that a good social security net is something every country should try to achieve because it means that the dividing force between being poor and rich becomes a bit narrower because everyone have the same stepping stone, the same foundation by landing in the net and getting up again and getting self-sustained. Some rich people will maybe have a bit easier time because they have some money to play with along the way, but the net is the same for everyone, rich or poor. So it will catch everyone no matter what. And that is what is important, that the system is to work for everyone, not just the rich, but also the poor, because a net social security net is there to help everyone. And then the rich people will pay more taxes, and in the end, that will actually help more of the poor people. So I actually think that it's a very good trade, to be fair, that if you have more money, that you pay a bit more tax because the social security net could also save you as a rich person, or maybe your kids or grandkids at some point. So this has been my look at social security, and I could maybe do a more in-depth of every part of it. I already did a bit about schools. So if you want that to happen, please let me know on my Facebook page or my Patreon. This has been Rad Class, and have a pleasant day.